Welcome back. So the calendar has finally turned. The clock ticked, and at last Ireland and Canada are about to take their first steps into Rugby World Cup 2015. So much experience within their sides, but the adrenaline will be coursing through everybody's veins right now as Glenn Jackson, the Kiwi referee in his first Rugby World Cup, gets things underway, and Pool D is alive and kicking. Sexton changing his options immediately, but a great good take by DTH van der Merwe. Canada will be looking to settle themselves down as quickly as possible. They know they're the underdogs. It's no surprise to them. They just need to make sure they get their processes into place.
Stay here.
Hirayama trying to force Ireland to run it back from their own 22. The Carney boys teaming up immediately to set up the platform for this Irish side.
Stay here, stop.
Sexton hangs one high. A big bomb that Matt Evans, the Canadian fullback, can't take cleanly, but it's still there for his team. Hirayama just weighing up what's possible here. And Blevins trying to manufacture situation. There's Ray Bart called the hooker, unable to get up to that halfway line. Gordon McCrory, born in Scotland, but qualifies for Canada under the residency rules. Evans tries to get the ball away. Great take from Hasler, just unable to hold on to it. Well, what a start, Jordan Murphy, and it's all come from the men in red.
Yeah, very much so. Great take from the kick-off for van der Merwe, and Canada held onto the ball, and Ireland forced to kick the ball away, and then some really enterprising play and a great offload there by Evans.
Jordan, it steps along a long journey. Irish expectation is that they could be first footing into new territory come the end, semi-finals, final, whatever. Is that expectation weighing heavily on the squad, do you think?
I don't think so. I think the squad has been, building over the course of the last two seasons, two championships in a row. Has been really good for confidence, and the public expects a good performance. The public expects Ireland to get beyond the quarter-final, and I think the guys on the field are looking forward to putting their mark on the game today.
As you can see, a significant weight advantage in favour of the Irish pack. The call for heave is duly adhered to as Conor Murray makes the best down that short side. Hasler having to step in to hold his man up, but Ireland now getting their attack for the first time into some sort of rhythm. Rob Carney, such an enterprising and engaging fullback. O'Brien with nowhere to go fast, but plenty of composure on the ball from Ireland early on as they set the ball back and peel again to that left-hand side. Forwards eager to do their bit, eager to get their hands on the ball. O'Connell and Sexton working the 1-2 to come around the corner, but Canada are able to press up, and this defence will have to hold its elasticity through the course of this game. It's going to come under stress, they know that. Just sticking to their jobs, sticking to their focus, and making sure they keep the pressure on the ball carrier. Here they come though round the side, Ireland. Keith Earls can't find his man, and the move just has to go back and reboot from the Canadian 10-metre line. Rory Best, never one for a sidestep if he can go head first into the contact. The Ulsterman, Sexton decides that his team need to get a bit further on, but plenty of time for Canada to escape and breathe again.
Really smart from Conor Murray, seeing the penalty advantage on the scrum on the far side, really setting Ireland off there. They look dangerous on the edges a couple of times. If the last pass goes to hand, I think we could cause some problems there.
See that burst from the Irish number 9. Always aware of the opportunity, the British and Irish Lion. And he's going to be a real threat around those breakdown areas through the course of this game, that's for sure. Rory Best, most capped hooker, most capped Ulsterman indeed for Ireland.
Yeah, a little bit of nerves showing there by Sean O'Brien, uncharacteristic, peeling around the back of the line out, trying to attack the 10 channel, and unfortunately was worrying about his second job before he caught the ball.
Yes, the man known as the Tullow Tank. Tullow in Ireland, where he hails from. Tank for the way that he plays, and you will see through the course of this game, he is a real force to be, well, enjoyed by the spectators, coped with by the opposition. Canadian scrum delivering the ball to Hirayama. Hirayama's really known for his sevens expertise in the shortened form of the game, which really highlights his running ability. It'll be interesting to see whether he transposes that today into the 15-man game. Corey. There we see it, that's what I was talking about, his awareness of space and where to go. Not going to take them any further on that occasion.
He's certainly going to be threatening with the ball in hand. A great step by him there, getting in behind the gain line, unfortunately just getting a little bit away from his support.
Hirayama, 27 years of age. In his third Rugby World Cup, he was unused in 2007, played half of the games in New Zealand 4 years ago. For Canada, Jordan, I mean, realistic expectations really for this tournament. Coach Kieran Crowley looking for his team to become a little less predictable. We've seen that there from Hirayama. It's not been easy recently. They've only got 2 wins out of their last 13, therefore confidence may be a little brittle. This start will be just what they wanted.
Very much so. You know, they're really looking to their sevens game to give them a little bit of spark in attack. As you said, their record hasn't been great coming into this World Cup, so I think anything they can garner from this will be great for them. Certainly so far in this game, they've played some quality rugby and had some opportunities.
Paul O'Connell, safe take as ever in the middle of the line out. The old 1-2 in the Irish midfield, but the bouncing ball evades Dave Carney.
We saw Ireland practice that move in the warm-up, a little wrap around and try and put the ball in behind on a spot play. Unfortunately, Johnny Sexton saw the Canadian wing blitz up and tried to throw it over the top. I think potentially that space, if Canada keep defending like this, will appear again.
DTH van der Merwe, who will be playing in red in Wales at the end of this World Cup. That'll be for the Scarlets. Formerly, of course, of Glasgow up in Scotland. Pro-12 champions that they were last season. Jackson's arm indicates there's an advantage being played to the Canadians, and will go back for the penalty as Jamie Heaslip doesn't roll away from the contact. Referee's keen to keep the ball available as long as possible and as quickly as possible. Players will try and see how long they can slow it down before the referee's whistle goes, and Jamie Heaslip's just learnt the lesson there.
I think we're going to see that a lot today. Glenn Jackson's a fantastic referee. He wants quick ball. He wants teams to be playing with the ball in hand. They're a little bit unfortunate. Jamie Heaslip got trapped underneath the tackle and found it a little bit tough to get away. But no room for leniency from this referee.
Gordon McCrory lining up this first attempt from all of just over 50 metres. The roof is closed, as I mentioned, here at the Millennium Stadium. Does that make any difference, Jordan, to the air and to how far the ball will travel?
I don't think so. Potentially, if it was a windy day, obviously would play a factor. I'm not sure that McCrory's got the legs here, but we shall see.
Managed just over 4 out of 5 in the Pacific Nations Cup recently in the warm-up to this tournament. McCrory sends the ball on its way. It's just evading the post to the right. Well, a sighter really for the Canadian number 9. Right on the edge of his kicking ability, as we saw there, but maybe he'll be able to utilise that first test up later on. Sexton with a little 9-iron to get his forwards engaged. Earls comes round, but he's wrapped up by the huge frame of Hubert Bidens, the Canadian loose head. Massive man, 6'3", 120 kilos of Canadian beef in that frame.
Carry back. Carry back. No, carry back.
Referee indicating the ball has gone back into the 22, therefore Conor Murray cannot kick it straight into touch and get any territorial advantage, but his forwards make sure they do make a gain up the pitch. And now here they come, driving their way with Sean O'Brien leading the way. Sexton sees the gap behind the Canadian defence, and that is a brilliant touch finder from Johnny Sexton.
Fantastic, saw the space and executed the kick very well. Great play by Ian Henderson on the far touchline, winning that ball back from a great box kick by Conor Murray.
Sexton keen to make his mark on this tournament. Only played a couple of games in New Zealand 4 years ago. 3 off the bench, of course, understudying Ronan O'Gara at that point, or it was a bit of a mix and match, I suppose. But now very much the dominant force in this Irish back line. The line-out going skew, though, and that's not going to help the Irish cause. Canadian cause, I beg your pardon, as Ray Barkwell just tries to dry his hands. It's going to get hot and sweaty in here with the roof on as well. That must affect the line-out throws.
Yeah, certainly it will. The ball, it'll get a little bit warmer in here. The ball will get a little bit greasy, it'll be sweaty. And one of the main things will be the noise levels. And you'll see the line-out forwards really struggle to hear the calls. Conversations, little bits of communication that are sometimes simple will become very, very difficult when the crowd goes up.
Sit.
Heaslip allows Murray to move it wide. Here comes the burst, though, from Luke Fitzgerald, wearing the 12 shirt this afternoon. Played at inside centre for Leinster when Joe Schmidt was coached there a couple of years ago. More often known as an outside centre or sometimes a winger. Murray keeping things going. The scrum halves very much the barometer of the team, keeping that rhythm and making sure they're playing in the right areas at the right time. O'Brien struggling to get his team up to that 5-metre line. The advantage is there for Ireland, but Murray will want to play on from this. Little dab over the top. Just too much, but they will go back for that earlier advantage.
Yeah, typically Irish play, getting the ball in the Canadian 22, playing very direct, hitting Luke Fitzgerald up, using the forwards on 3 or 4 phases around the corner, waiting for penalty advantage, and we've seen that kicking game come to good effect before. Unfortunately, a little bit too far there by Conor Murray.
What's the call going to be from Paul O'Connell? He points towards the sticks, and Sexton will line up his first pot at goal. Luke Fitzgerald getting the call at 12, Jordan, with Robbie Henshaw's hamstring problem. We're told Henshaw is a matter of days away from being fully fit in any case. Were you surprised that Fitzgerald got that call?
Slightly surprised. Luke, he's a fantastic player, has played most of his rugby in the outside backs, and you know, he's got the ability to play anywhere in the back line. I think Darren Cave would probably feel slightly miffed in that he was brought as a third-choice centre, and unfortunately he's not seen any field time today. But it's great to see, you know, Ireland's best players on the field. Lukey's an exciting talent, carried the ball very well there off the first phase, and it's going to be good to get the ball in his hands.
Well, the scoreboard operator is brought into play for the first time in this match, and it's Ireland who get the first points on the board, thanks to the boot of that man. See a great mix in the crowd. That's what this tournament loves. And walking around Cardiff this morning, you can see Canadian fans, Irish fans. I even saw some French fans and some Georgian fans. I'm not sure whether they knew they weren't in the right place today, but everybody's savouring the opportunity.
I think the Georgians may have been lost.
Should have come off the M4 earlier. Safe take from Carney as ever. So good under the high ball, Rob Carney. Murray getting that high exit kick, and that is a cracking clearance from Conor Murray. Canada will want to run it back so they don't lose too much ground from it. Matt Evans sends it back. But Sexton anticipating well. Good work from one fullback as the other one came up in his eye line. That's good work from Matt Evans. Plays his rugby with Cornish Pirates, actually born in Salisbury, but qualifying for the Canadians under the residency rules. Now having to shuttle back into defence as Ireland come on the burst with Jared Payne. Turnover ball at the contact area, and Hubert Bidens will just solidify things for the Canadians. There's Ray Barkwell, married to the Canadian women's team captain, Laura Russell. I suppose both of these teams can actually take heart from their performance of their female allies in the Rugby World Cup last year. Ireland getting through to the semi-finals and Canada were the finalists. England, of course, winning that tournament 13 months ago. Good follow-up work from Carney the older. And they're going to get the advantage.
Great play by Carney there, seeing the space in behind the line. The Canadians managed to shut it off, but competed strong in the air and managed to chase on when the ball was knocked back and make a great tackle and affect a turnover.
And that kick chase, we talk about it so much, Jordan. It is vital that they keep the pressure up, that they work off the ball. And here come Ireland now, trying to keep the pressure on the Canadians. Shuttling into the opposition 22. Dave Carney, hint of a goose step. Ball still there. Heaslip and Mike Ross. No thought of a sidestep from the big tight head. The ball is set back. Marnie sets it back for a scrum off once again. And there's numbers out of that left flank. Ian Henderson ignoring the overlap. Conor Murray showing and going. Got his head up over the line, but can't get the ball there to follow it. But it's there for the forwards. Looking for that first try. Have they got it? Jackson in a great position to make the call. Oh, there must have been something coming through at the bottom of that ruck, because I don't think it was belonging to an Irish body. Yeah, it was Jamie Cudmore, and Cudmore's favourite colour is yellow, and he's seen it again. He's going to sit out for the next 10 minutes. Yeah. Well, he can go and sup the Chardonnay on the naughty boys step. Yellow card for Jamie Cudmore. Canada down to 14.
Yeah, Ireland missing an opportunity there on the left flank. Ian Henderson had a two-man overlap and decided to go for the line himself, and very nearly made it all the way, but I think probably easier would have been just to go through the hands.
Some of these forwards try and get away with so much in those darker reaches of the breakdown area, but right now it's a bit more open for Ireland as they drive to the line. Sean O'Brien at the back of it and falling over for the first try, an inevitability to that score. But the first 5-pointer is on the board for Joe Schmidt's men, and Ireland now beginning to find their rhythm in this game.
Yeah, I think so. A fine example of the maul there, ball to the back, and really when you lose a guy of the calibre of Jamie Cudmore, it makes that maul defence all the tougher. The ball put to the back and just driven strongly over it.
It's not just the quality of Cudmore, of course it's the ballast that he provides. I mean, 116 kilos of him, but if the technique is right from that sort of position, it is nigh on impossible to defend.
Very much so. Once the maul is formed and starts going forward, it's a very difficult thing to defend. And the Canadians needed to probably try and pull that down a little bit sooner, or hit that as soon as the Irish line-out jumper hit the floor, to collapse that.
And Sean O'Brien nabs try number 6 in Irish colours at least, as Johnny Sexton looks to add the extras to really compound Canada's discomfort now, as the Irish engine certainly seems to be revving fairly happily inside this first quarter. Job done for Sexton, and Ireland already into double figures. Well, you have to look back and say that Ireland have really enjoyed most of their trips to the Millennium. 6 out of their 9 visits have resulted in wins, and you can also add on, I suppose, the likes of Munster winning the Heineken Cup here against Biarritz, Leinster doing the same against Northampton. There's a certain feel-good to Irish trips to Cardiff.
Yeah, certainly so. You know, I suppose the amount of Irish fans that have made it across here today would be one of the factors that the Irish teams have been so successful here.
So, Canada, one man down, and under the cosh a bit now for the remaining 10 minutes of Jamie Cudmore's sin bin. His 7th yellow card. That's not a record that he'll be too happy holding, as Ireland flow towards that left flank. You can sense the Irish now looking to up the ante to keep the pressure on their counterparts. Heaslip, Sexton. Sexton can't get the ball away, and just a thought of a breakaway there. Knocked forward, I think, from Nick Blevin's hand.
Slightly fortunate there again, running the same play. Ireland running the wraparound with Sexton, and this time Heaslip and looking to go behind best to our backs. But we got away with it there.
Nick Blevin's a big unit in midfield. 98 kilos in there. Plays for the Calgary Hornets. There's some great names of these Canadian teams. Wouldn't you love to have played for the Calgary Hornets?
Yeah, I was just thinking that was a team that I would have really enjoyed playing for.
Well, maybe the Castaway Wanderers would have more suited you, Jordan.
Definitely.
There's Ray Barkwell. Playing at hooker for Kieran Crowley's team there. Aaron Carpenter is wearing the 8 shirt, and that's really in the absence of Tyler Ardron, the team captain, whose knee injury is still not quite right. Hurt his MCL against Samoa in Toronto at the end of July. So Carpenter reverting back to his more familiar number 8 shirt, it probably has to be said, for the Cornish Pirate, and giving the opportunity to Ray Barkwell at the front of that pack. Barkwell, a latecomer really to the game of rugby. She went to teacher training in Perth, Western Australia. Made such an impact that Western Force got interested, and he ended up training with them. And really has moved on from there. 35 years of age, the man with the major facial hair adornment in the middle of your picture. There's Cudmore. Gareth Rees just behind him. Mr. Canadian Rugby, now the team manager, wearing the red blazers. They brought these red blazers back in to connect to their heritage, to their tradition from 87 and 91, the first 2 Rugby World Cups. Just hoping that his team can hold out in the absence of their captain. Fields of Athenry rings round the Millennium Stadium. Irish fans happy with their lot so far.
No, I think they'll be reasonably happy. I thought Canada had a very good start. Ireland will be particularly happy that Cudmore's off the field, and I've looked threatening when we've got the ball to the width. The Canadian defence has been tightening up a little bit, and I think we'll see pay on some of those wraparound plays that they've tried to pull on their first 2 attacks.
You can see Blevins wearing 12 coming in to try and augment the Canadian pack there, but the ball is there for Ireland as Murray looks to release Sexton, again using that left flank. Rob Kearney gets the ball out to Earls. Earls bounces off one tackle. Ireland moving into the danger area from Canadian perspective. Henderson, good leg strength from the Ulsterman. Amani comes up in support. They go again with O'Connell. If this is given, this will get the biggest shout of the day. I think Glenn Jackson has decided it's been held up. Well, we saw the players warming up before the game, and the biggest roar, bar none, was for that man, Paulie O'Connell. He is an Irish institution.
Very much so. The country loves him. I think he'll be country president next. But again, that's the play we talked about beforehand. A little wraparound play, a huge hit by Keith Earls to do some damage there. I think there's somebody in trouble on the far side. It looks like there's a concussion. Well, he seems to be back on his feet.
Every attention to any concussion is very, very vigilant right now. Head injury assessments are quite stringent to make sure that there is nobody left in any days on the pitch, that's for sure. Well, if Paul O'Connell is going to be up for president, by the time that happens, he may be able to do his opening speech in French, because he's going out to Toulon to find out what the top 14 is about. That'll be an interesting transition for him.
Very much so. I'm sure he'll be seamless. Paulie's one of the hardest trainers in the Irish camp. You know, he's going to an environment with some fantastic players, so I'm sure he's going to enjoy his rugby down the south of France.
Winning his 105th cap this afternoon. Playing in his 4th Rugby World Cup, which equals the record held by our very own Brian O'Driscoll. So, pressure time once again for the Canadian pack. Opportunity knocks for the Irish.
Expect to see a variation of the same move here, with Earls receiving the ball at first, but maybe something a little bit more direct.
Well, Earls just hanging at the back to the left of that scrum, but right behind it now, and there may be a chance of a blindside run here if the forwards are going to release it. Jamie Heaslip picks and drives. We're going to have to look to go again. Henderson's up and Henderson's over, and Ian Henderson gets his first try in Irish colours as Ireland get 2 tries on the board inside 25 minutes.
Again, the traits of the Irish game from the Six Nations. Once we get inside that 22, it's a very direct style of play, not a huge amount of passes, very, very patient. And I suppose one of the surprising facts from the Six Nations was that Ireland held on to the ball for 2.5 minutes longer than many of the other sides, and that's purely due to patience like this.
Well, you can see how effective and efficient Ireland were in that obvious opportunity. And Ian Henderson, the Ulster second row, he's played back row as well, of course, in his rugby career, utilising the drive through.
Really good example by his mate Rory Best of how to drive a man through a tackle there, waited till he got hit and then doubled up with the body weight.
There's Ian Henderson. There's a noted day for him, not only his first Rugby World Cup, but his first try for his country. So Jamie Cudmore's absence has caused his team to ship 2 tries. And within that, of course, the control of the game changes. O'Connell underneath that restart and quickly gets through the gears to get his team away from the 22. And again, you see the Irish flow in their game, just finding the confidence and consistency and the rhythm to get themselves going from deep. Sexton takes the alternative option, and you can see why that is an immaculate kick from the boot of Johnny Sexton.
Absolutely great play again, running the ball to the width to tie up that winger and bring that winger into the field and open up some space in the backfield, making the fullback's job very difficult. And Johnny Sexton with an amazing bent kick.
Yeah, the variety of kicks that fly halves can produce now is critical for the advance of their teams, particularly in those sort of areas. Canada working a good exit, a surprising exit strategy to get themselves away. Blevins using that power once again and allowing Gordon McCrory to hang one high. Earls quick to release his fullback. Rob Kearney just skidding to a halt, but the ball's still there for Ireland as Heaslip works his way up over the Canadian 10-metre line. Slightly slower response, more measured response from Peter O'Mahony, but the ball's still there as once again they look to expose that right flank of Canada. This time it's Johnny Sexton, and this time it's try time Ireland from their number 10. It's all going Ireland's way inside half an hour. What a good try
Fantastic try again. Great vision from Johnny Sexton, seeing that there was front row forwards in the back line, giving the ball early to Sean O'Brien and holding on for the inside pass once that defence had clocked off.
Right, we're just going to have the officials checking this. Let's have a listen to hear what they want to look at. Checking the grounding there, seems to be fine from that shot.
Glynn, you may award the try.
No problem, say the officials. And Sexton does get the try. Goes past 500 points now for his country in his 54th appearance, and he is already establishing himself in the history books of Ireland rugby.
He showed a clean pair of heels as well. I didn't realise he was so quick.
30 years of age as well, not bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
Did you have that sort of pace at 30?
I can safely say I didn't. I didn't have that pace when I was 20.
I say nothing. Johnny Sexton just recovering himself for this conversion of his own try. Well, the angle too oblique for Sexton to manage the extras, but 22 points on the board as Jamie Cudmore steps back onto the park. A rueful look on his face, because in his absence, Ireland have run in 19 points in that 10 minutes.
A very difficult thing to do, conversion from the sideline after a 50-metre sprint.
Well, impressive work from Ireland, impressive work in particular from their number 10. Shortlisted for the 2014 World Rugby Player of the Year last year. Brady Retallick, the All Black second row, was the eventual winner. Back, of course, playing for his beloved Leinster, having had a not too happy sojourn in Paris for, well, Racing Metro as they were, now Racing 92 they've been called. Van der Merwe manages to get his hand back, and Blevins has to try and refocus this Canadian flow now. They've taken 3 slaps around the face with those tries from O'Brien, Henderson and Sexton. Kuriyama trying to get the width on it as Matt Evans pulled down just short of halfway.
Tackle release. Safe.
Big hit coming through from O'Connell. I think, yes, just his hand knocking that ball out of the grasp. But such enthusiasm for a man of 35 years of age. He hasn't lost it, has he?
Oh, he's a fearsome competitor. You won't get anything less than that from Paul O'Connell. And every opportunity he has to put his shoulder into someone, he'll be doing it.
He scored a try on his debut against Wales some 13 years ago now. As he said in that earlier piece you may have seen, good enough to be remembered. I don't think there's too much doubt about that.
No doubt about that. He's done more than enough already, and I'm sure he's got more to give.
Sit.
Kuriyama trying to release his back line. Hearn and Van der Merwe getting Canadians up into opposition territory for the first time for a while.
Balls out.
Barkwell feeds back to his fly half now. Ireland will be quite happy for Canada to keep the ball throwing side to side, because it allows them to move that green line up, that defensive line. They've just got to make sure they keep their focus on their one-to-one tackles, as here come Canada down the right. Good work from Clark Gilmore. Ball goes loose though, and looked like Luke Fitzgerald could pick up and go. as it is. He's turning around to see Dave Carney having to scuttle back into position.
I think Earls got caught in two minds whether to pick it up or whether to kick it there, but that's a great piece of play.
There's a kick pass from Johnny Sexton. Jared Payne. Well, that was a very important intervention from Van der Merwe, because Jared Payne was thinking about the 70-metre trot there after that ball if it had gone through.
Again, great vision from Johnny Sexton. You know, a lot of teams there, having felt a little bit under pressure, would be putting that ball off the field. He's just looked, seen the space, and had the audacity to put the ball right into Jared Payne's hands.
Jared Payne taking the revered Ireland number 13 shirt. He's been partnering Robbie Henshaw through all these Six Nations matches this year. Of course, they've got to substitute in many ways a most revered partnership, midfield partnership in Irish history, in Brian O'Driscoll and Gordon Darcy.
I think he's done a fantastic job. I think obviously there's some very, very big boots to be filled there. And certainly defensively, you know, he's done a great job. But I definitely think he's got some more, another gear in him as well. I think there's more to come from Jared Payne.
Canada's discipline just being tested now as they really feel the end of the half, the lactic acid beginning to build up in legs, the oxygen deprivation that struggles to get your body around this pitch, and with the scoreboard reading as it does, everything in favour of Ireland right now.
Ireland will be looking to get another score before half-time, try and go in with a pretty convincing lead.
Well, of course, we must remind everybody, if you need reminding, that bonus points are a part of this Rugby World Cup. If you get those 4 tries, you can have added value to a victory. And, of course, the flip side of the coin, you get within 7, then you do take something from the match. Right now, there's only one way that Ireland are going, as Sean O'Brien dips his shoulder into the tackle of Matt Evans, and once again the Irish find themselves attacking that Canadian 22. Sexton again coming around on the wrap. Fitzgerald feeds out to Dave Carney, and Carney slaloms his way over for the bonus point. What a start from Ireland this has been. 35 minutes not come on the clock, but 4 tries already in the bag.
That's a play right out of Joe Schmidt's playbook. Seanie O'Brien starting on the left wing. The ball was thrown to the left flank, and all of the backs were ready to roll with the same shape that we've seen a few times before. We've seen a ball go into touch, but Liam Fitzgerald doing a great job, and a 3-man overlap on the edge.
Well, what great work from that back line. It really has refound its mojo. We talk a lot about the warm-up games, but honestly, do they have any relevance when you come into a tournament like this and you kick-start your game like we've seen Ireland?
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, I think those warm-up games are an opportunity for different combinations, for different people to hold their hands up, and you know, a lot of the time people are trying to get selected. People play slightly differently. Once you make that squad, and then to have another game, it's slightly distracting, and you know, I suppose the loss to England wouldn't have been a massive thing for me. The performance today is what it's all about, and it's been quality so far.
I suppose the only question was you had back-to-back losses, but really, you know, as you say, it doesn't matter. There's such belief in this Irish side. There were so many changes, 41 players, I think, Joe Schmidt used in those 3 warm-up games, trying things out, and that's what those games are about. Sexton back on target from the tee, and the Irish tally keeps moving upwards. And there you see the work of not only the backs. You saw Peter O'Mahony there as the rebound wall, and then Carney with a 2-man overlap, albeit that they were props outside him, and he was never going to pass to a prop to score a try, was he?
No, I didn't think he was going to let that out of his hands.
Much as McGrath and Ross were calling for it, they knew it wasn't coming from their wing man, as Paul O'Connell just struggles to pull the ball back, but they're going to go back for the earlier knock forward, I think, from a Canadian hand. There's John Moonlight, one of the many 7 stars within this Canadian lineup. I mentioned it earlier, he's the Sevens captain indeed.
I'm quite surprised with the Canadians. They haven't had any joy by kicking there, and they've not changed their tactics yet. They've kicked off there quite a few times now, and the Irish have dealt with it every time. And potentially they should look for a different spot.
Interesting to see whether Kieran Crowley does change and adjust, or presumably he's got to adjust the tactics when he looks at the scoreboard. Let's see what he does, certainly with his use of the bench. Crowley and Joe Schmidt, two of the 7 Kiwi coaches we've got in Rugby World Cup 2015. And the coaches in this group, there's 2 French and a Welshman. But, Joe Schmidt certainly seems to be at the top of his game now from a coaching standpoint. Lovely little kick through from Fitzgerald. Last 2 minutes of this first half. Ireland in the ascendancy in pretty much every state of the game, certainly on the scoreboard, as Van der Merwe looks to get something for his team before the break. McCrory invites his forwards to set something up. Brett Bookeboom wearing 4 for Canada this afternoon. Comes from a famous sporting family back in Canada. His dad is Uncle Jeff of famous ice hockey players. Unforced error there from Jared Payne's boot.
Got a little bit frantic there. I think Keith Earls would have been happier if Luke Fitzgerald had held on to that ball and maybe built a little bit more pressure. He thought he saw space in behind the line. Unfortunately, it was covered well.
Last minute of the first half that Irish fans will have savoured and enjoyed. If this is a portent for the way that this Rugby World Cup is going to go for the men from the Emerald Isle, then they will be more than happy the way that they've played, the way that they've bided their time to get that engine running, and certainly the flow of their backs has been very impressive. There's Bookeboom to Aaron Carpenter. Both of them ply their trade for the Cornish Pirates in the championship. Hubert Bidens, ever present, played every test since August 2013, the big loose head. Hariyama, no way through that one. The reception committee giving him a concrete cuddle as he tried to come through there. No way through, but there is for Van der Merwe. Now this man knows his way to the try line. All the Irish boys will know about DTH Van der Merwe from the Pro 12 League and his prowess with Glasgow. The Irish defence goes on to alert as Canada try and work their way through to the try line. What a difference a score might make now to the team talk in the hutches. Evans pulled up just short, it's still there. Bookeboom tries to muscle his way through 2 Irish tackles, no way through. Penalty to Canada as Ireland step up too quickly.
Really great tackle by Johnny Sexton.
Parkwell bounces off Mike Ross. They've got players out to the left, but the forwards want to do the job. It's there. Aaron Carpenter muscling his way in. Bidens wants it. Now they move it out. Hasler slapped on by Hirayama. Did he go forward? Van der Merwe hasn't waited for it. He's gone over. The officials are going to have to confirm, though. Let's have a listen. Pascal Gauzer on this near side.
Checking footage glean, try, no try, in particular last play.
So try or no try is the question from Ben Jackson. It allows the TMO Ben Skeen, fellow New Zealander, to take a look at these pictures in the trucks and ascertain whether that was forward from Hirayama. From that angle it looks like it did deflect forward, doesn't it?
Glenn, we're just looking for
looks to me that it's come off his right hand and landed about 2 yards in front of where he was. He's about 5 yards off the 5 there, and yeah, I think that ball's gone forward.
Good pressure coming on Hirayama there. I suppose the question is whether it came off an Irish hand or
Thank you, I have
hand.
a decision.
Here we go.
Glenn, the last ball has travelled forward.
Yep, try is going to be disallowed.
That's correct.
Disappointment for Canada. The knock-on is going to disallow their only real chance of a try in that first half. The whistle's gone. Ireland going well in the first half with 4 tries in the bag.
Jamie Cudmore going to the referee there and obviously complaining about he feels hard done by him, that he gave away a cynical foul on the goal line and got yellow carded. Irish seem to do the same and didn't receive anything.
So join us after the break as Surrey and Brian reflect on that first half with Craig. The half-time score here, it's Ireland 29, Canada 0.
Ireland in complete control against Canada. Tries from Sean O'Brien, Ian Henderson, Johnny Sexton and Dave Carney. That was the bonus point on 34 minutes. Canada are really struggling here. 33% possession, 34% territory in the Ireland half. They have got a job in hand in the second half. Ian, just to delve into your store of positivity very quickly, is there anything Canada can do here?
I think they've just got to look at the last 2 minutes of the half when they had a good attack. They're actually supporting each other quite well. They will have to work hard to try and play a little bit off the ball and off the shoulder, and try and not make everything breakdown ball, because that Ireland's defence is actually in position so early. And a couple of offloads got in behind and promising.
Simple as that, Ian. Simple as that.
Simple as
it's
that.
a very good day for Jordan Murphy to be in our commentary box. He's with Simon Wood. Boys.
Yes, certainly Canada could have done with the straw that would have been that try at the end of the first half from DTH van der Merwe, but it wasn't to be. And Kieran Crowley will have been extolling his team to try and get their attack with some intent if they can establish some platform. But that first half was pretty much all about the men in green. There were moments that the Canucks thought they found some synchronization to their attacks, but once Ireland rediscovered in many ways their mojo, it was play like this that took them from side to side, and really very impressive attack that managed to nail them those 4 tries in the first half. Jeff Hasler being replaced at the break. Hasler, of course, a local boy in many ways. Been playing for the Ospreys for the last couple of years. There's his replacement, Liam Underwood, another sevens man. There's a volley from Johnny Sexton. I'm not sure that it's quite how he wanted to start the second half. Doug Aldridge muscling up to set the focus for Canada. There's another replacement, that's Connor Traynor.
No doubt that Evans went off due to the hit that was put on him over on the far touchline.
Well, here's opportunity for Canada early on in this first half. Now, can they execute a little more clinically than they did at the end of the first 40? Boom, and the forwards trying to get things moving. O'Connell coming back from an offside position, I think, and I think Paul O'Connell is going to sit out the first 10 minutes of this.
Possibly something to do with what Jamie Cudmore was saying at the end of the first half. He felt quite aggrieved that Ireland were a little bit cynical at the end of that first half on the try line, and no yellow card, and potentially that's a knock-on effect as a result of it. Paulie being slightly naive.
Well, you have to highlight the previous history between those two, Cudmore and O'Connell, and your mind goes back to a match in Europe between Clermont and Munster when they had a spat, to say the least. O'Connell saw yellow in that game as well. Cudmore actually saw red and got a 5-week ban, but they have got history. But that one, well, that was just over-enthusiasm perhaps from the young colt that is Paul O'Connell.
Very much so. I suppose he had an argument in that there was no tackle, therefore there was no offside line, but I don't think it was going to hold much weight with the referee.
Moonlight sets the focus for this driving maul. Just need to reset the sat-nav to get to the line. Jamie Cudmore wrapped up by Heaslip. Carpenter goes again. There's a few roadblocks to glory for this Canadian forward team. That's a lovely offload from Barkwell, but Van der Merwe, 1 against 3, was never a fair contest. And the forwards having to reset things, but they're running out of room. Need to hold their composure now. Moonlight forced backwards again. Hariyama. In fact, sorry, it's DTH Van der Merwe. The man we felt he was going to get their first try in the first half, trying to get involved with the forwards. The cross kick from Hariyama. Is it going to land safely? It's just gone out of touch. Connor Traynor desperately trying to pull it back in there. Well, a good start from the Canucks, but still no points on the board.
Yeah, I think Les Kiss, the Irish defensive coach, will be very, very pleased with that, both the end of the first half, and there are some really solid shots, particularly by the forwards. Ian Henderson causing some havoc at the breakdown, getting himself in. Oh, great take by Keith Earls.
Earls sets it back, and Murray finds a slightly bigger fly half than he's used to. Mike Ross stepping in as first receiver. Again, you can see the width that Ireland are getting on the game. The boys mentioned it in the studio at half-time. We didn't see that through the warm-up games. We have seen it now as DTH Van der Merwe makes the most of the penalty, but runs out of room.
Playing the ball on the ground, penalty. Playing the ball on the ground.
Glenn Jackson just trying to install a little bit of sanity into proceedings.
Obviously, the Canadians trying to speed things up a little bit. I think they see the game being structured as their best chance to get some points on the board, and putting Ireland on the ropes here, particularly when they're down to 14 men. And you'd expect to see somebody try and slow the clock down, and maybe we're seeing this right now.
Ireland had the best defence in the Six Nations, gave up just 11 points a game. And Canada's attack, not known for its potency, it has to be said. But they need to be efficient now. They need to be effective. They need some points on the board. Cudmore sets up. Carpenter takes control. And the forwards try and select forward gear in that driving maul. Carpenter breaks off. It's a mess. It's a turnover. It's a chance for Ireland to counter-attack from their own 22. The little slip kick. Well, this is played like a sevens game since half-time. Only difference is there's 15 men on the pitch on each side.
It's really opened up. The Canadians are really upping the tempo, and certainly Ireland want to keep playing with ball in hand as well. I think we need to keep a gauge on that, though. I think the Canadians look dangerous from turnover ball, so I think it needs to be a little bit more territory from the Irish point of view. They had good territory in the first half, and it's important not to get too excited by the occasion and throw the ball around too much.
Now you have your coach's hat on with Leicester Tigers. Do you think that Joe Schmidt will have wanted them to not go back to basics and back to the beginning, but just to reset themselves after the break? What will have been the call from the Hutches?
Oh, I guess that you don't want to show your hand too early in the competition. And the bonus point one is secured at half-time. Potentially maybe play a little bit simpler and not show your hand too much. And he'll want to play at a high tempo. He'll want to play some good structures and have a good foundation to build on for the rest of the tournament. So I'd expect the Irish team to continue with the similar strike moves, but potentially not add anything new in the second half.
Canada standing back, waiting for the next ball carrier. It's Ian Henderson. Again, we talked about developing the ball carriers within this Irish setup. Maybe why Henderson got the call. Van der Merwe nearly got the ball there, unexpectedly as it was. Oh, McCrory chips it through. Was he blocked by Luke Fitzgerald? The Canadian fans think he was. The officials don't, and Ireland play on as this field gets more and more broken up, littered with bodies and heaving lungs as the game goes from side to side. I expect this perhaps in the last 10 minutes of the half, but not in the first 10, as the overboot from Johnny Sexton allows players to just get a bit of oxygen on board.
The right idea from Sexton there, just a little bit of poor execution. you know, it's getting fast and furious. You'll start seeing some bodies going down, and potentially the impacts coming off the bench will be a little bit sooner than would be expected.
Well, we saw the replay of that kick through from McCrory, and Fitzgerald up in the air, so no way that he was going to get out of it. Nor did he want to, it had to be said.
No, really smart from Luke. I think he had to get himself up off the ground. The referee has no option, no choice to give a penalty there, and that he's got no place else to go.
Glenn Jackson, one of the new breed of officials. Good to see ex-players transferring their skills to the whistle. Added simpatico in many ways from an ex-player, and hopefully we're going to see more of that through the course of the next few years.
Yeah, it's a great option for ex-players to go into refereeing. Obviously, guys who've got a huge amount of experience. I played against Glenn in the Premiership final in 2010, and fantastic player, and he's doing a great job as a referee. Certainly he likes the ball in and likes it to be played fast.
There's another man you know, that's Justice Sears-Daru, the replacement prop for the Canadians. Had time at the Tigers Academy.
The Justice, young prop, still a young prop. He's a very good scrummager, good player, and we'll start to see him go.
Just 21 years of age now, has the Rugby World Cup on his rugby CV. And 20 months out of the game with a broken ankle. 20 months between his first and second cap, but now on to win his 9th, and what an experience it'll be for him. Right now, he's back there waiting. There he is, waiting for the chance to get his hands on the ball as his backs try and get things moving with Kieran Hearn. Frenetic at the breakdown in this second half. It really has been upped in the intensity stakes.
Ireland giving away a penalty there. They tried to execute the choke tackle. Unfortunately, tackler got to ground and ended up with Sean O'Brien falling on the wrong side. Clear penalty.
Gordon McCrory takes his leave, which means Phil Mack, there he is. 7-star, another one, turned 30 yesterday, so I don't suppose he's had much chance to celebrate. Doesn't look like he's going to have much chance today, it has to be said.
He's certainly one man who won't struggle with the pace of the game. Been playing on the 7th circuit for quite a while now and been making quite an impact there, so he'll want the game fast, and I'm sure he'll be one of the guys who's tapping the ball and getting the ball in play as much as possible.
Yeah, there he is, a real buzzball of a scrum half. Never-ending energy. A shortened line-out call from Cudmore, and it's the captain who tries to back the ball back. It's not clean, and it allows Rory Best to snaffle up the loose ball and Johnny Sexton to slam the ball downtown. Kenny Trainer feeds Liam Underwood, and the threat is averted for now. There's Liam Underwood. Ostensibly a fly half, really. He's been worked in the 10 position for many of these warm-up games and for the Pacific Nations Cup, but has the versatility to be able to cover at the back as well.
I think the Irish forwards will be quite happy with Johnny Sexton there, gaining some territory, getting them some ball, getting them a little bit of a rest. When the tempo goes up, it's something that they're very happy to look back to their 10 and thank him for putting the ball in front of them.
Uncontested line out there from Canada, waiting and expecting the drive to come on from their opposite numbers and trying to get themselves into good position before that happened. Marion Sexton, that cross kick, spotting Van der Merwe just out of position. Oh, that nearly worked there, but it's going to be Liam Underwood who's going to get a chance to release Van der Merwe. Good covering tackle from Best, but it's still there for the Canadians. Well, great vision to see what was on, and the accuracy of the kick was immense.
Absolute great execution there by Johnny Sexton. And Brian talked about it at half-time. The unseen work by Rory Best there to come from that line-out maul to make it across and make this tackle. He's beaten the back row across there and executed a fantastic shot.
So the scoreboard still reads 29-0, 11 minutes into this second half. Nothing since the break for either side. Good defence. I think that was from Doug Waldridge, standing firm in his task, the Canadian tight head. Jamie Heaslip being forced backwards, but holding on to the ball to allow his team to reset and reboot this attack. Mike Ross. Now there's a man who'd like to score a try. 53 times he's turned out for his country, and never has he been in position to get over the whitewash. Again, a perfect kick from his fly half. Johnny Sexton has this ball on a string.
He certainly kicked well today. As we talked about, when that tempo goes up, the forwards are struggling a little bit with their lungs. They're very happy to roll into it.
Guess who's coming back on the pitch now?
I guess the crowd's cheer said it before I even had an opportunity to see who it was. Great shot by Jed Sinclair on the far touchline from that inside pass.
Barkwell with a pressure throw on this 5-metre line out. Good work from Booker Bowman. The quick release invites Nick Blevins to try and work his way up away, but he's lost the ball in contact now. Is their turnover ball for Ireland. His great attacking opportunity for the Irish for their first try in the second half. The switch inside from Fitzgerald. Good concentration from Kieran Hearn, but Ireland come back again with Earls trying to work against the weaker arm inside as the defenders shuttle across. Rob Carney sets the ball back. Now the forwards want to be involved. Jack McGrath, the Leinster loose head. What a big plus he's been for his province and for his country. They work the ball out to Rory Best. That was a big tackle coming in from Jed Sinclair. The London Irish lot covering across and managing to shut the door in the face of Rory Best as he was about to step onto the welcome mat.
No man would have liked to try any better than Rory Best would there, but some fantastic defence. And potentially, I thought Ireland might have rolled around the corner and held on to the ball. Conor Murray thought he saw an opportunity on the short side, but covered well by the Canadian defence.
That's the sort of covering that you want, the sort of effort you want from the team. Whether the scoreboard reads 29-0 or 0-0, you want to see that sort of commitment, and that's what Jed Sinclair brings to you.
Very much so. A very difficult tackle there for a back on a hooker, but Jed Sinclair did very well to come over and lend a hand.
Looks like Liam Underwood's got problems with the knee from it. Let's just see that rerun again as Rory Best desperately looking for his 9th try for his country.
Liam Underwood's done just enough. It looked like Rory Best was going to...
Now, interesting replacement now, because Johnny Sexton is being pulled from the fray by Joe Schmidt. It's going to give Ian Madigan a run out in a World Cup for the first time. But bearing in mind, we've still got 26 minutes left on the clock. Any surprises that Joe Schmidt's made that call this early?
No, I don't think so. I think it's an ideal opportunity to give Ian Madigan some field time. Obviously, Johnny Sexton is number one. Potentially look after him that little bit better as well.
Another pressure line out for Canada, and Ireland spoil. Murray held up, but the forwards ravenous for the potential of another 5 points. Henderson it is, with his hands on the ball, looking for his personal 2nd try of the afternoon. They go again. Well, Sexton hasn't gone off. They can still see him on the park. Madigan waiting in the wings to make his entrance to the Rugby World Cup. Watching as the master, the maestro, tries to get Ireland into position for another score. Henderson, again, good leg drive from the Ulsterman. That's how close they are. Canada having to work overtime in defence now. Oh, numbers out to the right. But just taking his eye off the ball was Keith Earls.
It looked like Ireland had put himself in a position to score another try. Johnny Sexton pulling the same move twice, a dummy switch and switch to the winger. Created some good overlaps with the forwards working hard around the corner, and Keith Earls just taking his eye off the ball a second early.
This relentless attacking strategy of Ireland is going to sap any defence, and Canada really having to work hard off the ball to make sure they're in position. There's Ian Madigan trotting on now, and Sexton will get a due ovation from this big crowd for the work that he's carried out. It has been an exemplary performance from Ireland's number 10. It is going to be sapping, though, isn't it, for the Canadians through the course of these relentless phases of play.
Very much so. 55 minutes gone, and the Canadians have been under a huge amount of pressure in their own territory. They are going to be dead on their feet in 20 minutes. They've unloaded their bench. They've got no backs left to come off the bench. So they're going to be fatigued.
So Ian Madigan is in the building. As Phil Mack takes the rebound ball from Aaron Carpenter. Matt will not want to kick the ball away, that's for sure. Loves to run. Hirayama with his weaker left boot sends it away from the danger area, but the Carnies will combine to bring it back with some interest if they possibly can.
Off the foot.
Tony Heaslip was captain of Ireland the last time they were here last month. Makes the break, finds the support from Amani. The Munster man staying strong. The little cross kick from Madigan, just overweighted. Well, maybe too much to ask when he comes straight off the bench with all the adrenaline going through his body right now.
Yeah, it was the right idea. Luke Fitzgerald was out there on the wing calling for it. Unfortunately, slightly overcooked, but great to see that the vision was there.
Well, Ian Madigan with Phil. I don't know about points to prove, that's probably over-egging it, but he'll really be wanting to savour these 25 minutes to show what he's about in the biggest tournament in the world, in world rugby.
He'll be delighted with getting 25 minutes. I don't think could have gone any better for him in that he's got an opportunity now to get some touches on the ball and to show what he can do. Obviously, everyone in Ireland knows what an attacking threat he is, and he has 25 minutes to impress.
A good, successful line-out from Canada this time, but Conor Train is forced back into his own 22. Efficient execution is what they're looking for now. Mack finds his sevens buddy Hirayama, and they effect the escape from their own 22, but only enough time probably to draw breath right now.
The luxury of the scoreboard is enabling Ireland just to put the pressure on Canada. It's nice to be able to defend 70 metres from your own goal line and then just wait for mistakes to happen and wait for the turnovers and the unstructured attack to kick in.
Cardiff's version of the Mexican wave sweeps around the stadium. That's the roar that you can hear as Ireland set themselves up for another attack. Jared Payne almost getting through the tackle. Good work from Nick Blevins once again, holding on to his man. The rainbow pass is out to Dave Carney, but Carney's kick has not quite got enough distance on it. And Canada looking to go now, looking to up the ante, test out the resolve and fitness of their Irish counterparts, but they can't do that if they want to get themselves up the other end.
Again, the luxury of the scoreboard potentially makes Dave Carney try and get another try there. I think maybe he would have been better to hold on to that ball, build some phases.
So the relieving kick from Nathan Hirayama. There's the Canadian coaching committee. Leo Crowley, the brother of Kieran, Neil Barnes, a fellow Kiwi, Mike Shelley in there as well, the scrum captain. Used to be a Leeds regular. He used to play with Simon Easterby, of course. He's now on the Irish coaching committee.
Played for Leeds for a lot of years. I think played for Simon for 1 year up there, but they'll know each other very well.
Barker, longer line out, and Cudmore can't get it back safely to his scrum half. That just isn't what Canada needed right now. This, of course, the second match of the day. We've already seen Georgia beat Tonga 17-10 in Gloucester. Next up, we go down to the seaside. It's South Africa against Japan as the Springboks get their campaign underway against their old coach, Eddie Jones, of course. And then tonight, ITV4 is the place to be. France, Italy, the other game in Pool D today. You see what the Azzurri have got and what Les Bleus have got and what perhaps Ireland are going to be facing later on in this pool.
I think Irish eyes will be watching that game this evening with great interest. France have been building and actually really putting some plans in place for the World Cup. They haven't played with a huge amount of structure. A lot of people feel that that's going to come tonight, and it will be interesting.
Yeah, mentioning tonight, must also mention, if you want to see all the action from the opening weekend of Rugby World Cup 2015, the highlight show is on 11 o'clock on ITV4. Brian Mack trying to feed those forwards, trying to muscle their way through the green line, but it's holding firm and moving up into Canadian territory. Van der Merwe releases his captain. There's Justice Sears Daru, really mobile prop, great athlete, very powerful young man. Up to the 22, go Canada. Hirayama feeds his way out. And able to cope with everything being thrown at them at the moment. Les Kiss, with such great processes and defensive strategies in place, has been renowned for it over the years.
It makes it difficult to have those structures when the ball is so quick and you're on the back foot constantly. Kind of doing very well from the scrum, getting over the gain line and keeping that momentum for the last 6 or 7 phases.
Hirayama. Oh, there's a man out there. Surely he was standing offside. That try is not going to count from Jeb Sinclair. Canadian fans rejoicing, but they need to look to the pitch because Glenn Jackson has gone back to the other side of the park. It is a penalty to Canada, but Sinclair standing very much in front of that kick.
Again, smart from Hirayama, seeing the referee's arm go up, realising he had penalty advantage and that he had got the opportunity to put an attacking kick in. Unfortunately, said Jeb Sinclair was probably 5 or 6 metres offside.
Just see as this ball comes back now. There's Hirayama just inside the 22, and yet Sinclair had already taken a taxi towards the try line. Well, on the other side of the pitch, it's going to be another opportunity perhaps for Canada to break this duck. Another change coming on. That's Benoit Pifaro, the replacement hookup. Actually, talking about France, grew up in France, born in Quebec, which of course is the French side of the country. And Ray Barkwell has put in a heavy old shift through the course of these 62 minutes. And Chris Henry also coming on into the Irish back row, replacing Sean O'Brien. So both coaches now changing their formations, trying out people, seeing what they've got on this biggest of stages. Pifaro with his first action of the match. A set play to Cudmore at front.
Didn't really work out, and it's not worked out in their favour in that they've got the ball on the sideline with the Irish defensive line all on their feet.
Yeah, that ball derailed fairly quickly. They were looking to muscle their way a bit closer to the try line. Just need to be a little more pragmatic perhaps in their formation of them all to make sure there's no way through for any of those Irish defenders. Sees Daru falling backwards and holding on to the ball and giving away the penalty. And once again, Canada's visit to the Irish 22 doesn't yield points.
Pretty demoralising for the Canadians. They went for a line-out maul there, collapsed very early by the Irish, and then they kept it in that area. Unfortunately, the Irish forwards have been pretty dominant today.
Canada have been doing all sorts of work in the lead up to this. Of course, 3 months preparation for all these teams pretty much has given them a better chance of being better set for this tournament. Been working with the special forces out in Canada and with the Vancouver Canucks ice hockey team, trying to just go outside the box in the preparation for this big opportunity for their rugby team. Holding off from that line out allows Jamie Heaslett to bundle his way up through midfield.
They seem to be pretty well organised and very fit. I think it's obviously difficult when you haven't had any ball in any territory.
Well, I think Ian McGeechan was making the reference earlier, because Canada is such a huge country, there is a geographical divide, and it's not always easy to get players together. And of course, many of these players are playing in Europe or in other countries indeed. So it's logistically awkward, to say the least.
It's a very different side. These World Cup sides from the perceived weaker nations are very different than the sides they put out on a weekly basis for tours. And they get together maybe the week of the first game, and you know, they don't have opportunity to put defensive structures in place and basic principles in place. So when they get together for 6 weeks, we see much better organised sides.
Change at half-back is completed by Ireland as Owen Redden comes on. And another change into the Canadian front row brings Andrew Tiedemann on at tight head. Interesting, I suppose, that Joe Schmidt waits until now. I see both of the front row, Sean Cronin and Cian Healy, on. It's interesting to see whether he considers this a mini audition in many ways for some of these guys off the bench to see what they're about, because he'll already be thinking of that Romanian game next Sunday at Wembley, and whether some of these guys are going to step up for starting places. Right now, it's Sean Cronin, one of those subs, driving them all towards the line. Now it goes out. Madigan shows and goes, but feeds Jared Payne. Good physical play from the Kiwi. The ball is back, and there is the 5th try. Let's see who's going to stand up. I think it's Sean Cronin. Yes, it is. Sean Cronin gets his 3rd try for his country, and at last, after 26 minutes of this second half, Ireland get themselves back on the board.
So Sean Cronin is a very difficult man to stop from 5 metres out, so powerful. He's made some great breaks for Leinster over the years. When he's at pace with ball in hand, there's not many people that will stop him.
So Ireland come to the Millennium and get 5 tries, as they did last month in that warm-up game with Wales. Coincidentally, Glenn Jackson was the man on the whistle. A pure coincidence, I assure you. Ian Madigan with a chance of his first World Cup points. And his team move to a 36-0 lead now. There we see good options being taken in the back line. Payne being held up just short, but Cronin coming round to offer his physique to bundle his way over for try number 5. No great surprise, I suppose, that Ireland are dominating the game like this. They've won 5 out of their 6 encounters with the Canadians, as Rob Kearney tries to slalom his way up towards halfway. Ball whipped out onto that right-hand side, but Jared Payne kicks it straight into the midriff of DTH van der Merwe, and this time the Canadian left wing is not going to be stopped. Canada are on the board. After 67 minutes, they break their bagel, and the Canadian fans rejoice.
Great take by van der Merwe. Again, the Irish kicking in the outside channels when potentially they could have held on and created a little bit more pressure. I'm not sure if that's a space that they've identified, being the Canadians being weak and those balls being put in behind. But it hasn't really worked for them today in the wide channels. Van der Merwe, great read, great take, and he had the pace to get his 5-pointer.
Well, van der Merwe scored a brace against Fiji in the last Canadian match. That was at the Stoop. He missed out on one at the end of the first half, but this time there was going to be no stopping him. And Scarlets fans watching this will be looking forward to him joining their troop after this tournament has ended. But Canada will be delighted to get points on the board at last.
Oh, I think everyone and all the fans are here are quite pleased to see the Canadians get a score as well. They were enjoying themselves with a Mexican wave earlier on. It's brought a little bit of interest back into the game.
Hirayama with the much heralded conversion, as you can see. A very popular score. We saw then Jared Payne trying to work the position, but straight into the breadbasket of GTH van der Merwe. Actually born in South Africa, but has played for so long for the Canadians, having moved there. Also played for Saracens for a while in England in their Premiership after, I think it was after 2007, or may have been a bit later. But that's 17 tries in 36 matches. That's not a bad return for van der Merwe as Kieran Hearn is pushed to the floor. Keith Earls trying to keep the ball alive, but the offside line is breached.
Got a little bit excited there and didn't realise that he was standing in an offside position. They tried to counter ruck and unfortunately it was a clear penalty. Glenn Jackson's on it.
It's Donica Ryan waiting to get his taste of the action.
I wonder who Donica will come on for. Will it be Paulie or will it be Ian Henderson?
Well, if it's Paul O'Connell, I think this roof might lift off. We heard the ovation for Johnny Sexton.
I think it may be smart to get Paulie off with a yellow card under his belt.
And Jamie Cudmore in the opposition, you mean?
I think for Ireland's chances later in the tournament, it might be good to give Paulie a bit of a rest. I'm sure he won't want to come off, but it'll be interesting to see who he does come on for.
Well, here come Canada around the fringe, trying to build on that opening try for them. No way through for Nick Blevins. That's good handling to try and open the door for Benoit Pifferdeau. Kieran Crowley said he wanted his team to be less predictable, and they're certainly showing some of that in the opportunities, real as they may be, that they've had through the course of this game. Conor Traynor trying to use his bulk to stay in field. Mack trying to keep that tempo on the up now. Trying to push this Irish line out of shape. Hirayama loses the ball in contact and Dave Carney picks up the scraps. Ryan Redden doesn't find the touch that I think he was looking for.
I don't think he was trying to keep that in. I think that's just a slice kick.
Well, it's certainly not allowed his team any respite from the pressure that the Canadians are ramping up now. Yes, the game is done. We know who the winners are going to be, but
against Red,
Canada will be looking to try and get something more on the board if they possibly can. But right now, they may have to be shuttling back in defence because Keith Earls is underway. Foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, looks inside and finds Carney the older. Well, anything Dave can do, Rob can do just as well. And Rob Carney nails try number 6. It's a happy half dozen for the Irish.
Fantastic break by Keith Earls on the outside. I thought when Rob Carney got his hands on the ball that he might have pinned his ears and had a crack. Fortunately, he didn't fancy the 70-metre sprint. Gave it to Earls, who did really well to gas Moonlight, and Carney stayed alive on the inside. And a great pass at full pace. It's a difficult skill to master, but Earlsy's
Glenn, the advantage was for a...
Well, he hasn't scored in 11 tests, so you would think the jubilation might be a little bit heightened.
I'm sure if he didn't have to run 70 metres, he'd be ecstatic.
He's not that old. He's only 29 years on his birth certificate. Has had a bruised knee, it has to be said, that he's been recovering from. But Rob Carney is on the score sheet to join brother Dave as Ireland just embellish this scoreline now.
It's been tough work defending. It always is when you don't have any ball, when you're constantly defending. The Canadians have been on the front foot. Getting some game on and getting some quick ball has really put that Irish defence under some stress. And so it's nice to turn the ball over and go 80 metres.
Yeah, there was the break by Keith Earls, and I must admit I thought he had the wheels to go all the way there, but generously offering his fullback the chance to get on the board. Last try that Rob Kearney got on the board for was back in the Six Nations of last year against England. And now he's opened up his World Cup account this year. And his team pressing through now for a fairly emphatic victory. Again, not a big surprise that Ireland are going to win this game, but I think Joe Schmidt will be fairly happy with the attacking that he's seen from his side. And they've had to do a fair amount in defence as well, has to be said. And yes, as you can see, Paul O'Connell has left the building. So Donica Ryan into the pack.
I think Joe Schmidt took the opportunity to get Paul O'Connell off as the try was being scored, and the roof didn't necessarily have to get blown off.
Better safe than sorry. There's another man that you know well, Jordan, Richard Thorpe, coming on wearing the number 20 jersey for Canada, former Tigers colleague, of course.
Yeah, Thorpe is a great guy. He's been playing in London Welsh the last couple of years. A very good ball hog, and he's just managed to give himself a penalty away as I talk him up now.
You might want to explain the ball hog reference.
Jackling, getting over the ball when a tackle is made, the first man over the ball to try and steal it from the opposition is a term probably that I would use.
More often than not, wears the number 7 shirt, or does the job in the back row that Richard Thorpe has been so adept at. Mother born in Toronto, which is why he's playing for Canada. Getting his tackles in there as Ireland look to finish on a high. Into the final 5 minutes of this game, Jordan. Let's look at the Canadian perspective first up. What can they take from this game before they go into their next match-up at Leeds, as Ian Madigan makes the break. Madigan feeds on, and Jared Payne trundles over for number 3, and it's all going Ireland's way right now.
Great break by Ian Madigan. Saw the opportunity one-on-one. The impressive thing, he knew where his support would be. Always knew Payne was going to be there, and executed the pass right at the right time as well. And what can Canada take from this? Certainly probably won't be defence. I think when they've played at high tempo, when they've got some go-forward ball and got over the gain line, they've looked threatening. They potentially need to hold on to a little bit more ball, and they looked a little bit devoid of ideas when the Irish defence was set in front of them. So I think that would be an area that they want to look at. But you know, it's not been the end of the world today. Both wings have played quite well, and hopefully Evans isn't too bad, because he was having a good first half as well.
And from an Irish perspective, has Joe Schmidt got everything out of this that he was looking for? Have all boxes been ticked? He's got 7 tries in the bag.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great run out. I think the pace of the game in the second half has been very high. You know, you look at the Irish players now, they're blowing. They certainly had a very good fitness hit, and they got off the ground, and they've got the win, scored some good tries, had the opportunity to blood some players, hopefully no injuries, and it's been a great start for Ireland.
Well, there was Ian Madigan making the bus to feed his outside centre as Ireland raised their metaphorical bat for the half-century. Madigan certainly has made a good impression since coming off the bench with, what was it, 55 minutes on the clock for Johnny Sexton. So an impact player off the bench is invaluable in this tournament to make a difference to any game.
Yeah, he's ideal off the bench. He can cover quite a few different positions. We need that extra 10 cover, really.
Peter Armani climbs high to rescue and secure that ball. Madigan sends it back up into the ether. No wind, of course, here with the roof in. As Ireland push themselves back in defence. Canada, well, give them credit, they have kept up the momentum when they've had the ball in hand. Their fitness looks good, their ambition is certainly there. Execution occasionally lets them down. Certainly the discipline has not been brilliant, although they have got the call on that one for, I think, a high tackle. That's what Glenn Jackson is inferring there.
One of the things they are being very tight on for this World Cup is any sort of contact around the neck area. Obviously very difficult when you're in those choke tackle positions, and that's not only a reference to what sort of tackle it is. Trying to hold those guys up. Any arms across the neck region will become automatic penalties, and see Chris Henry riding up there.
Johnny Sexton nominated as man of the match. somewhat embarrassed and desperately trying to hide behind Paulie O'Connell, but watching on now as we move into the final minute of this game. A slap back for Matt to cope with. Praise for Glenn Jackson as well. We talk, you know, a lot about the players inevitably, but he's kept this game flowing to the most part. And as we've said, having an ex-player on the whistle tends to give that understanding, doesn't it?
I think he's a great referee. I thought he had a fantastic game today. I was really impressed by the way he used the TMO. Certainly when he saw the try was a try, we only need one view of it. He made the decision, and he's been really sharp. And there's been a lot of ball in play, and a little bit sloppy at times, and a few balls on the ground, because that's the nature of playing indoors at a game like this. But he certainly had a fantastic game.
Well, you can hear the party is about to start in Cardiff. So many Irish fans came over the water for this one. Plenty of Canadians around as well, and I'm sure Cardiff will be a joint that will be jumping this evening, that's for sure. Always a good party atmosphere with this city centre stadium so close to all the attractions for this evening.
It was certainly jumping on the way in, so I'm very optimistic for later on.
Lovely cross kick. Ireland looking to finish in a buoyant mood. Dave Carney just being brought to ground. Redden looking for the icing on a very tasty cake for the Irish. Cutting back in is Dave Carney. But tired Canadian bodies desperately putting themselves in the way, trying to hold out for these last phases of play. Rob Carney has nowhere to go. The sound in this noise factory of a stadium is quite superb. Hard to hear yourselves think at times when the fans really get their voices out. Chris Henry getting a little help from his friends, setting the ball back. Nathan White looking for the big finish. Cian Healy, has Cian Healy got there? No, he hasn't, it's still there, now it's over. And it's Henderson with his second. It's 8 in the basket for Ireland, and Irish eyes are smiling.
Really impressed with Dave Carney holding on to that ball. We talked about the Irish chipping the ball away in the wide channel. Potentially that was an opportunity. He shaped that he was going to chip it, but held on to it, recycled the ball, and 4 or 5 phases later, Ireland have another score.
Just looking at the moment.
Well, let's just have a listen to this.
TMO, check, check.
It's not going to make any difference to the outcome, but understandably the officials want to get it right.
View whether the player was grounded the ball correctly or not.
TMO, Ben Skene, asking for confirmation of the grounding of the ball from these pictures. He should be able to deduce whether try number 8 is legit or not. What's your call on that, Jordan?
Very tight. I think potentially that's short.
Well, that was Cian Healy going through first. I'm not sure whether
I have a decision.
So here we go.
Glenn, the green player has knocked the ball on.
The knock-on means the try is not allowed. They're going to go back for the penalty. I think it was Henderson who picked up the loose ball and dotted it down. No problem with that one. But Cian Healy's thrust had the ball dislodged from his grasp. And now listen to this sound as the Irish coaches look on for the final moments of their opener. Next up, they've got Romania at Wembley next Sunday. The following Sunday they go to the Olympic Stadium for Italy, and then they finish back here Sunday the 11th of October. That match with France, which could of course decide the outcome of Pool D. Heaslett leaves it for Redden. Moving it quickly out, but the Carnies can't find their unity, and the referee's whistle goes.